Every dawn hands us a quiet invitation, a gentle whisper reminding us that who we were yesterday does not confine who we can become today. We are not fixed creatures. We are unfolding stories, shaping ourselves with every choice, every word, every small act of courage. And if we dare to look inward with honesty and step outward with intention, we discover that improving our personality isn't a grand event. It's a daily devotion. A devotion to becoming more kind, more aware, more grounded, more whole. Today I invite you to walk with me on this journey of becoming not perfect, but purposeful. For each day offers us the sacred chance to rise just a little higher, shine just a little brighter, and stand a little more firmly in the fullness of who we are meant to be. Grow inward before you grow outward, for nothing in this world can flourish unless its roots are tended with care. Every personality we admire, every soul that seems unshakably confident or gracefully composed, began by doing quiet work within themselves. And this inner work is not loud, not glamorous, not something the world applauds. It is the gentle discipline of facing your own thoughts, examining your own habits, and choosing who you wish to become long before anyone else can see the change. When you learn to care for your inner world, your beliefs, your emotions, your intentions, you naturally grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. The inward growth shapes the outward glow. Many people attempt to polish the outside first. They try to speak better, appear better, or behave better without tending to the soil of their spirit. But true transformation begins deeper than the eyes can see. It begins in the places where your fears whisper and your dreams stir, where your doubts linger, but your hope refuses to leave. Improving your personality every day is not about impressing others. It is about becoming someone you yourself are proud to walk with. It requires honesty. It requires patience. It requires the courage to look at who you are today and still believe in who you can be tomorrow. When you grow inward, you learn to understand your emotions instead of hiding them. You become aware of your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the stories you tell yourself. You discover the old beliefs that hold you back and the new ones waiting to be embraced. This self-awareness becomes the compass that guides your behavior, your words, and your interactions. You start making decisions from a place of clarity, not confusion. You respond with intention rather than react from impulse. People begin to notice not because you try to be different, but because you are becoming different. And as your inner world strengthens, your outer world begins to blossom. Your confidence rises quietly, like dawn light slipping through the curtains. Your presence grows warmer, calmer, more grounded. You speak with a gentleness that comes from understanding yourself and a firmness that comes from valuing yourself. You treat others with more empathy, for you have learned to sit with your own emotions. You carry yourself with grace, not because life has been easy, but because you have tended your roots well. Every day gives you a new chance to cultivate this growth. Through reflection, gratitude, learning, and choosing kindness, even when it is not returned, you strengthen your foundation. Through forgiving yourself and others, you release the weight that keeps your branches from rising. Through daily intention, you shape a personality that is not only admirable, but truly alive. So let the world see the beauty of your growth, but let the growth begin where only you can see it. Tend your roots, nurture your spirit, water the quiet parts of your soul, for when you grow inward first, you create a life and a personality that can weather any storm and still rise toward the sun each day. Choose kindness even when the world forgets it, because kindness is not a performance, it is a power. It is the quiet force that shapes who you are long before it shapes what others see in you. There will be days when the world feels rushed, hardened, or impatient. Days when people speak sharply, move carelessly, or forget the gentle art of being human. but your personality is strengthened most on those very days, when you choose to rise above the noise and let compassion guide your steps. Kindness is not weakness, and it is not surrender. It is the decision to stay connected to your humanity even when others have set theirs aside. Every act of kindness you offer becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of your character. You may think small gestures do not matter, but they do. A patient reply in a tense moment, a soft smile towards someone who feels invisible, a forgiving heart when anger feels easier. These choices weave themselves into the fabric of your personality. They are not loud, but they are lasting. And though the world may forget the moment, the echo of that kindness stays with you. It strengthens your emotional muscles. It sharpens your self-awareness. It teaches you to walk with intention rather than impulse. There is a special kind of beauty in choosing kindness when no one is watching. It means your goodness is not dependent on applause or recognition. It means your spirit is grounded, steady, and self-led. Improved personality does not come from pretending to be good. It comes from practicing goodness. And practice often happens in silence, when you decide not to respond with bitterness, when you choose to understand rather than judge, when you forgive even if the apology never comes. These quiet decisions become the architecture of your inner strength. Of course, kindness will not always be easy. People may test your patience or challenge your peace. Some may mistake your gentleness for fragility. But true kindness has nothing to do with allowing disrespect. It is possible to be firm without being cruel, to be strong without being cold. Kindness is clarity, not surrender. It teaches you to speak truth without venom and to set boundaries without hostility. When you master this balance, your personality rises to a higher version of itself, steady, wise, and deeply grounded. And every time you choose kindness, you give a gift to your future self. You lighten your heart, you clear your conscience, you move through the world with less burden and more freedom. You become someone who can walk into any space and bring comfort, calm, or hope simply through presence. That is the mark of a personality that has matured with intention, not one shaped by ego, but one shaped by empathy. So even if the world forgets kindness for a moment, let it never slip from your daily practice. Let it be the thread that binds your actions, the reason people feel safe around you, and the mirror that reflects your truest self back to you. For personality is not perfected in grand moments. It is refined in the gentle choices you make again and again, especially when the world forgets the importance of making them. Stand tall in your truth, for there is no greater freedom than living as the person you were created to be. So many people spend their lives shrinking themselves, folding their edges, softening their voice just to fit the expectations of those around them. They hide their gifts because they fear judgment, and they silence their spirit because they fear being misunderstood. But you cannot improve your personality by abandoning your authenticity. Growth may stretch you, but it should never erase you. Your truth is not something to tuck away. It is the very foundation upon which your strength is built. There will always be pressures that try to mold you into something smaller or more convenient. Society often rewards conformity, not courage. It teaches you to follow the crowd, to blend in, to move with the noise rather than with your own rhythm. But your personality is not meant to be a shadow. It is meant to be a light. And light does not apologize for shining. When you stand tall in your truth, you give yourself permission to live boldly, to choose paths aligned with your spirit, and to speak words that carry the weight of your soul. This honesty becomes the anchor that keeps you grounded when the world tries to sway you. Your truth is not loud. It does not need to be. It does not demand attention, and it does not beg for approval. It simply exists, steady and dignified, waiting for you to honor it. Standing in your truth means knowing who you are and refusing to compromise that identity for temporary acceptance. It means acknowledging your strengths with humility and your flaws with compassion. It means understanding that authenticity is not perfection, it is sincerity. When your personality grows from this place of sincerity, it becomes unshakable. But walking in your truth requires courage. You will be misunderstood. You will outgrow certain people. You will leave behind spaces that can no longer hold your spirit. This is the cost of becoming whole. The world may try to question your path or your choices, but you must remember that the journey is yours, not theirs. Your truth is not a performance, it is a promise to yourself to live a life that reflects your values, your dreams, and your inner wisdom. And when you honor this promise, your personality becomes richer, deeper, and more powerful. As you learn to stand tall, you begin to speak differently. Your words become clearer because they are rooted in honesty. Your presence becomes stronger because it is rooted in self-respect. You start making decisions that nourish your peace rather than disrupt it. You begin carrying yourself with a confidence that does not shout, but simply exists. Quiet, steady, unmistakable. People are naturally drawn to authenticity. They feel comfort in the presence of someone who is not pretending. Every day gives you a chance to practice this truth, to show up as yourself, without shrinking, without performing, without apologizing. Allow your personality to grow in the light of your own honesty. For when you stand tall in your truth, you wear a crown that no one can take from you, and your life becomes a reflection of the courage it took to claim it. Speak with purpose, not noise, for your words are not merely sounds drifting into the air. They are reflections of your character, threads in the fabric of your identity. Too often, people speak quickly, react sharply, or fill silence with unnecessary chatter, forgetting that every word leaves an impression not only on others, but also on themselves. When you learn to speak with intention, your personality deepens, your presence grows stronger, and your voice becomes something others lean into rather than away from. Purposeful speech is not about speaking more. It is about speaking meaningfully. There is a wisdom in pausing before you respond, in taking a breath before letting your thoughts escape your lips. That pause protects your integrity. It saves you from words spoken in anger, in insecurity, or in haste. Many people regret what they say, but very few regret being thoughtful. When you choose to let purpose guide your speech, you bring clarity to your conversations. You offer comfort where there might have been conflict. You transfer calmness into spaces that others fill with tension. A single intentional sentence can heal what 1,000 careless ones have broken. The world is filled with noise, opinions shouted without understanding, arguments born from pride, conversations empty of sincerity. But you are not here to add to that noise. You are here to elevate the space you enter. When you speak, let your words be rooted in truth, shaped by kindness, and delivered with dignity. This is how your personality becomes memorable, not because you spoke the loudest, but because you spoke with heart. Speaking with purpose does not mean silencing yourself. It means choosing words that reflect your values. It means refusing to speak just to be heard, and choosing instead to speak to make meaning. When you adopt this mindset, your communication changes. You become more mindful of your tone, more aware of your intention, and more responsible with your influence. People begin to trust your words because they can feel the sincerity behind them. They begin to respect your presence because your speech carries thought, not impulse. Purposeful speech also requires listening, a skill many forget in their rush to respond. When you truly listen, you understand more deeply. You form clearer thoughts, kinder replies, and stronger connections. Listening teaches you when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to offer empathy instead of explanation. Silence, too, can be purposeful. It can hold space for healing, reflection, and understanding far better than hurried words ever could. The way you speak to others also mirrors how you speak to yourself. If you fill your mind with self-criticism, your confidence weakens. If you speak to yourself with patience and encouragement, your personality strengthens. Treat your inner voice with the same respect you offer others, for it shapes you even more deeply. Replace the noise of doubt with the purpose of belief. Every day gives you countless moments to practice speaking with intention. Whether it is a conversation with a friend, a stranger, or yourself, choose words that contribute to peace rather than chaos. Choose phrases that uplift rather than wound. Choose truth over performance. And let your speech be something that elevates every room you enter. For when you speak with purpose, your personality becomes not just something people notice, but something they trust, remember, and feel inspired by. Walk with humility, not insecurity, for humility is the quiet strength that allows you to move through life with grace, while insecurity chains you to fear and self-doubt. Many people mistake humility for weakness, believing that to be humble is to shrink, to apologize for their existence, or to hide their light. But true humility is not self-erasure, it is self-awareness. It is the courage to know your worth without needing to shout it to the world. It is the freedom to acknowledge your limitations while still striving for growth, and to celebrate others' successes without feeling diminished. A humble heart carries strength, and a humble personality attracts respect. Insecurity, on the other hand, clouds perception. It drives people to seek validation from external sources, to compare themselves endlessly, and to overcompensate in ways that repel connection rather than foster it. When you walk with insecurity, every interaction becomes a measure of your worth rather than a moment of contribution. You may appear busy or confident on the surface, but inside, you are constantly burdened by doubt. Humility lifts you from this trap. It reminds you that you are enough, that your value is inherent, and that you do not need to prove yourself at every step. This liberation transforms your presence into something calm, composed, and inviting. Humility also teaches patience and openness. When you are humble, you understand that learning never ends, that no one possesses all the answers, and that every person you meet has something to teach you. This mindset allows your personality to expand naturally. You become approachable, someone others feel safe to confide in, someone whose wisdom is respected because it is tempered by understanding rather than arrogance. Every moment of humility strengthens the roots of your character, enabling your personality to grow more resilient and attractive over time. Walking humbly does not mean allowing yourself to be stepped on or silenced. It means embracing confidence without aggression, asserting yourself without belittling others, and carrying your accomplishments with quiet pride rather than loud declarations. It means knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to lead and when to follow, and recognizing that your value does not depend on recognition or applause. Humility is a form of power that feels gentle but moves mountains in the hearts of those around you. Insecurity often makes people reactive. They overcompensate, become defensive, or measure their worth against every glance, comment, or action they encounter. Humility, however, brings perspective. It allows you to focus on the journey rather than the judgment of others, to measure success by your growth rather than by comparison, and to respond with patience rather than defensiveness. When you walk humbly, mistakes no longer define you, they teach you. Challenges no longer intimidate you, they shape you, and criticism no longer wounds you. It guides you toward refinement. Every day presents countless opportunities to practice humility, listening more than speaking, acknowledging others' contributions, expressing gratitude, and forgiving yourself for imperfections. In these small, deliberate actions, your personality strengthens. It becomes steady, composed, and magnetic, not because it demands attention, but because it exudes dignity. Humility does not dim your light. It lets it shine with clarity, warmth, and confidence. Walk humbly, and your personality will not only grow, but will inspire others to rise with you. Listening to learn, not to reply, is one of the most transformative practices you can adopt if you wish to grow your personality. So often, People enter conversations already preparing their response, their argument, their defense, or their own story, and in doing so, they miss the richness of what is being shared. True listening requires patience, presence, and humility. It is a quiet art, one that demands you set aside your ego, your assumptions, and the urge to be heard, so that the wisdom of another person can truly reach you. When you listen with the intent to learn, every interaction becomes a classroom, and every person a teacher. When you learn to listen this way, you start noticing details that would otherwise slip by unnoticed. The tone of a voice, the hesitation in a pause, the emotions hidden behind words. These subtleties reveal truths not spoken outright, and understanding them strengthens your empathy and emotional intelligence. A personality shaped by this depth of listening becomes magnetic because people sense that they are truly seen and understood. You stop reacting to the surface and instead respond from a place of insight. Your words carry thought, your actions carry intention, and your presence carries calmness that draws others in rather than pushes them away. Listening to learn also challenges your own assumptions and opens you to perspectives you might have ignored. It allows you to hold space for ideas that conflict with your own without immediately dismissing them. When you do this consistently, your personality grows not rigidly but expansively. You begin to see the world through a wider lens, and your judgments soften because your understanding deepens. This kind of listening is not passive, it is active, requiring focus, patience, and sometimes even courage, especially when what you hear challenges your long-held beliefs. The more you embrace this practice, the more grounded, wise, and adaptable your character becomes. Conversations then shift from being battles of assertion to exchanges of insight. You learn to ask questions that illuminate rather than trap, to acknowledge perspectives rather than contradict reflexively, and to respond in ways that build connection rather than distance. Listening becomes a tool for growth, not merely for gathering information. Every story you hear, every experience shared, every idea voiced becomes an opportunity to refine your thinking, expand your empathy, and cultivate the strength of character that shapes an inspiring personality. In this way, listening itself becomes an act of self-improvement. Perhaps most importantly, listening to learn teaches patience and self-restraint. It reminds you that understanding takes time, that wisdom is rarely delivered instantly, and that meaningful growth is a gradual process. The world often celebrates those who speak loudly and quickly, but those who truly listen quietly gain insight that lasts a lifetime. When you adopt this approach, your personality no longer seeks to dominate the space. It enriches it. It becomes thoughtful, grounded, and deeply human. You begin to realize that the wisdom of life is not in the words you speak, but in the depth with which you hear. And in listening with intent, your personality blossoms in ways that echo far beyond a single conversation, touching every life you encounter. Practice gratitude as a daily ritual, for it is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to transform your personality and enrich your life. Many people move through their days focused on what they lack, what has gone wrong, or what they wish were different, and in doing so, they miss the countless gifts that surround them. Gratitude is the conscious choice to notice, appreciate, and honor the abundance already present in your life. It softens the heart, calms the mind, and nurtures a spirit that is resilient, grounded, and radiant. When you make gratitude a daily habit, your personality begins to glow from within. Starting each day with gratitude allows you to set a tone of awareness and intention. Even small acknowledgments, a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, the sound of birdsong, remind you that life offers countless blessings if only you take a moment to see them. This daily ritual trains your mind to focus on positivity rather than scarcity, and over time, it rewires the way you experience the world. You begin to approach people and situations not from a place of complaint or judgment, but from a space of appreciation and understanding. Your personality becomes more pleasant, inviting, and magnetic because it is rooted in contentment and awareness. Gratitude also has the power to soften your heart toward others. When you recognize and appreciate the contributions, kindness, and presence of those around you, you begin to treat them with more patience and empathy. Small acts of acknowledgement, a thank you note, a word of praise, a gesture of recognition, create ripples that strengthen relationships and build trust. A personality cultivated through gratitude is approachable and warm, someone whose presence makes others feel valued and seen. This is the quiet strength that sets apart those who inspire from those who merely exist. Moreover, gratitude shifts the way you handle challenges. Life is never without difficulty, and no personality is complete without experiencing setbacks. But when you practice gratitude, even in adversity, you learn to find lessons, silver linings, and opportunities for growth. Gratitude does not ignore pain, it frames it within a larger context of learning and resilience. It allows you to navigate difficulties without bitterness, to recover from mistakes without despair, and to move forward with a heart that is open rather than closed. This resilience enhances your personality by adding depth, wisdom, and composure. Integrating gratitude into your daily life can be simple yet profound. Begin by reflecting each morning on 3 things you are thankful for, however small. End your day by acknowledging at least one positive moment or insight. Speak your appreciation aloud to those around you. Let your gestures, your tone, and your words reflect the abundance you recognize in life. The more consistently you practice gratitude, the more it becomes a lens through which you perceive yourself, others, and the world. Your personality becomes more vibrant, kind, and inspiring because it is anchored in recognition and respect for the beauty in every moment. When gratitude becomes a ritual, it shapes you quietly but powerfully, transforming ordinary interactions into meaningful connections and fleeting moments into lasting memories. It reminds you that your personality is not only measured by what you say or do, but by the depth of appreciation and love you carry within. Through gratitude, your soul is strengthened, your heart is softened, and your presence becomes a light that touches everyone you meet. Add value everywhere you go, for a life lived in service to others is a life that shapes a personality worth remembering. Too often, people move through the world focused on what they can take, what they can gain, or how they can be noticed. But true growth comes from giving, from contributing, from leaving every space a little brighter because you were there. Value is not measured by wealth, status, or power. It is measured by the depth of your impact, the warmth you leave behind, and the ways in which you elevate others simply by being present. Every encounter is an opportunity to add value. A kind word to a stranger, a patient ear to a friend, a sincere compliment to a colleague. These small actions ripple far beyond what you see in the moment. They plant seeds of positivity, trust, and encouragement that grow in ways you may never witness. A personality that consistently seeks to uplift others becomes magnetic, drawing people toward it not because it demands attention, but because it fosters connection and trust. The more you practice adding value, the more your presence itself becomes a gift, and your interactions leave lasting impressions. Adding value also requires awareness. It means paying attention to the needs, feelings, and experiences of those around you, and responding with care and intention. It means noticing when someone is struggling, when an idea deserves recognition, or when a situation could be improved by your input. This is not about overstepping boundaries or forcing help where it is not wanted. It is about being present and engaged, seeing clearly and acting thoughtfully. When your personality is guided by this principle, you are not self-absorbed or distracted by your own concerns. You are attentive, considerate, and reliable. Moreover, adding value cultivates growth within yourself. Each act of contribution strengthens your empathy, owns your communication, and deepens your understanding of human nature. It teaches patience, humility, and resilience, because adding value is often more about giving quietly than receiving praise. It reminds you that your worth is measured not by recognition, but by the positive change you inspire in others. In this way, your personality is enriched, not just outwardly, but at the very core of your being. You become someone who improves not only spaces, but hearts, and your influence extends far beyond what words alone can convey. Life is made up of countless fleeting moments, and each one offers the chance to leave a mark. Whether it is offering encouragement to someone doubting themselves, sharing knowledge with someone seeking guidance, or simply being a calm presence in a turbulent situation, every action matters. The accumulation of these small, deliberate efforts forms a personality that is not only respected, but cherished. People remember how you made them feel, how you contributed to their growth, and how your presence made a difference in ways big and small. When you commit to adding value everywhere you go, your personality transcends superficial charm or fleeting attention. It becomes meaningful, inspiring, and enduring. You begin to understand that the truest measure of a person is not what they achieve for themselves, but what they contribute to the world around them. Your life becomes a series of deliberate actions that improve rooms, hearts, and moments. And through this commitment, your presence leaves an indelible mark. The more consistently you choose to add value, the more your personality becomes a light that guides, uplifts, and enriches every life it touches. Add value everywhere you go, for a life lived in service to others is a life that shapes a personality worth remembering. Too often, people move through the world focused on what they can take, what they can gain, or how they can be noticed. But true growth comes from giving, from contributing, from leaving every space a little brighter because you were there. Value is not measured by wealth, status, or power. It is measured by the depth of your impact, the warmth you leave behind, and the ways in which you elevate others simply by being present. Every encounter is an opportunity to add value. A kind word to a stranger, a patient ear to a friend, a sincere compliment to a colleague, these small actions ripple far beyond what you see in the moment. They plant seeds of positivity, trust, and encouragement that grow in ways you may never witness. A personality that consistently seeks to uplift others becomes magnetic, drawing people toward it not because it demands attention, but because it fosters connection and trust. The more you practice adding value, the more your presence itself becomes a gift, and your interactions leave lasting impressions.